Hey everyone, it's me, SpongeBob, and we've got a rather interesting video for you today. We're gonna do something we've never done before and something we probably won't ever do again. We're gonna do a draft. But not just any draft. As you know, the creator of this channel is a big Nickelodeon fan, so Jimmy, Timmy, and myself are going to do a draft of Nicktoons shows. I guess you could say these are our Nick picks.
How original.
SpongeBob, quit it with the puns and let's get started. Alright, so we're gonna do this in order of when we first premiered. So it'll go me, then Timmy, then Jimmy. Wait a minute, I got started on Oh Yeah Cartoons. Yeah, and I had my pilot back in 1998. Okay, back when our shows officially began, okay? Alright, that's fair. Yeah, I get it now. But anyways, SpongeBob, what's your first pick? Well, my first pick is, of course, SpongeBob SquarePants. Wow, typical SpongeBob. What are you guys talking about? You pick your first pick is your own show? But, well, come on, guys. Alright, despite all the ups and downs that my show has had over the years, there's no denying how iconic it is. I mean, the first 3 seasons are absolutely phenomenal. They're like lightning in a bottle. Not to mention my first movie is absolute peak cinema. And honestly, I don't really think seasons 4 and 5 are all bad. I mean, they do have some hidden gems in there. I mean, you've got Fear of a Krabby Patty, Krusty Towers, Have You Seen the Snail, Dunces and Dragons, Karate Island, Friend or Foe, Roller Cowards, Crabs a la Mode. Alright, SpongeBob, we get it. Okay, actually, one last thing. Even the bad seasons do have a few hidden gems in there, in my opinion. Example, It's a SpongeBob Christmas from Season 8. Alright, okay. Alright, now it's my turn. And my first pick is The Fairly Odd Parents. Really, Timmy? Yeah, I mean, hey, come on, SpongeBob did the same thing, alright? Despite all the ups and downs, my show is very iconic. I mean, it was one of the biggest shows during the time it was on. I mean, it was right around the same time, almost as big as your show, SpongeBob. Okay, yeah, I'll give it that. I mean, not to mention, I had like 2 great TV movies, Abracatastrophe and Channel Chasers. Those are honestly some of the best Nickelodeon productions in my opinion. Yeah, I'll give you that. Those are 2 certified classic Nickelodeon TV movies. Yeah, I can't argue with that either. Those 2 are great. But, anyways, Jimmy, what's your first pick? Alright, well, my first pick is The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Wow, you know, you guys are something else. Here you are pointing at me for picking my show first, and you guys go and do the exact same thing. Alright, okay, fine. You make a good point, SpongeBob. But still, my show, I mean, while it may not be as big as it used to be, it was certainly big during the time. I mean, our 3 shows right here were probably like the foundation of Nickelodeon back then. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, during the early 2000s, our shows were definitely the biggest at the time. Yes, plus, much like SpongeBob's first movie, my movie, even though it came out before the show, is peak cinema, in my opinion. Yep, that is true. Not to mention everybody's wishing for it to make a comeback, which I'm hoping it does. I mean, I know I've got that movie coming up, but honestly, I'd kind of like to see, you know, the canceled plans for Season 4. I know we talked about this before, but, I mean, still, it would be great. Yep. But anyways, SpongeBob, what's your next pick? Alright, well, I'm going with a show that, for the very reason that without it, I probably wouldn't even exist. Rocko's Modern Life. Oh yeah, Rocko's Modern Life. That is definitely a classic right there. Yeah, I mean, my creator, Steven Hillenburg, actually worked on Rocko's Modern Life, and I mean, without it, my show probably wouldn't even exist. I mean, I technically started off as a comic book character in a comic called The Intertidal Zone, but I mean, Rocko's Modern Life is kind of what made me what I am today, so I've got to pay it its respects. It's an absolute great show. Not to mention Static Cling was awesome. Oh yeah, that's true. But anyway, Timmy, what are you going with next? Well, I'm going with a show that is for similar reasons as to your SpongeBob, but not entirely. My next pick is Danny Phantom. Oh, I see why you went with that. Yeah, I know it sounds a little bit biased why I'm picking it, because, you know, it's not the same guy who made my show, but I mean, it's like one of the classics back then. Not to mention, like, the three of us plus Danny were in Nicktoons Unite, so, you know, you gotta give it credit for that. True, and it's got such a huge fan base. I mean, we got that comic back, like, I think in 2023, and we're supposed to be getting a new comic coming out later this year, which is supposed to be a sequel to that. That'll definitely be cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But, Jimmy, what's your next pick? Well, my next pick, I gotta go with it because it would be wrong to not include it for obvious reasons. My next pick is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Barnacles! That was gonna be my next choice. Snooze, you lose, SpongeBob. But in any case, Avatar: The Last Airbender. What can I say about this show that has not already been said? Yep, it's got a humongous fan base behind it. Even, I'd argue it might be even bigger than your fan base, SpongeBob. You know what? I can't argue with that. Not to mention it was the only Nicktoon to actually beat me in the Kids' Choice Awards back in 2008. You didn't win them all, SpongeBob. Yeah, I know. But yeah, it would be wrong to not include, you know, Avatar for obvious reasons. I'm definitely looking forward to that new movie that's supposed to be coming out. When is it? Next year? 2 years later? Or the next 2 years? I don't remember exactly. But anyways, SpongeBob, what's your next pick? Alright, well, I'm going with another classic Nicktoon. My third pick is Rugrats. Rugrats. Basically, one of the founding Nicktoons, if you think about it. Actually, you don't even have to think about it. It is one of the founding Nicktoons. True, it was one of the very first 3 Nicktoons alongside Doug and the Ren and Stimpy Show. It is such a classic. I mean, it was basically me before me, if you think about it. Like, it was the biggest show on Nickelodeon before I came into the picture. That's true. Not to mention, like, how classic the show is. Yeah, tons of nostalgia for it. Yeah, I mean, Rugrats is great. But, Timmy, what's your next pick? Alright, I'm going with an underrated pick this time. Tough Puppy. Let me guess, because, yes, it's because it was made by the same guy who made my show. Look, I know Tough Puppy isn't exactly popular, but, I mean, I've got a soft spot for it, in all honesty. Plus, I mean, the theme song is just great. Like, it's got, like, one of the greatest theme songs in Nicktoon history, in my opinion. Just give it a listen. It's great. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I think it was definitely better than a handful of the Nicktoons that came out after it. I'd say the only other 2 good Nicktoons that came out after Tough Puppy were The Legend of Korra and the 2012 Ninja Turtle series, and Harvey Beaks. But that was like almost by the time Tough Puppy had moved its way over to Nicktoons, rather than just airing on Nickelodeon. Yeah, Harvey Beaks is another pretty good show. But anyways, Jimmy, what's your next pick? Well, I'm going to be going with another classic this time around. Hey Arnold. Oh, Hey Arnold. Yeah, that is definitely a classic right there. Yep, Hey Arnold was a lot different than other shows on Nickelodeon at the time. Given how it was more of a slice of life show, I mean, the only other slice of life show on Nickelodeon that was animated, the only other slice of life Nicktoon at the time, I think, was Doug. And like by the time Hey Arnold started, Doug got acquired by Disney. Yeah, that's true. Not to mention just how memorable the show can be. Yeah, it definitely handled a lot more serious issues compared to other Nickelodeon shows. And I gotta respect it for that. But anyways, SpongeBob, what's your next pick? Alright, I'm going with another classic this time around. Cat Dog. Oh yeah, Cat Dog is a classic. Yeah, I remember, I feel like Nickelodeon was kind of pushing it to be the next big thing before you came into the picture, SpongeBob. Yeah, I feel like Nickelodeon was definitely pushing Cat Dog to be, like one of the next big shows. And I mean, like, I think it does kind of hold up. It is quite memorable, in my opinion. Yep, and I mean, the two main characters, or main character, however way you look at it, are voiced by Jim Cummings and Tom Kenny. Can't go wrong with that. Yep, I have to agree. But, anyways, Timmy, what's your next pick? Alright, well, I'm going with a pick that's, I'm going with another underrated Nickelodeon show. With a reason that's similar as to why I picked Danny Phantom and Tough Puppy, but not entirely. Chalk Zone. What's the reason why Chalk Zone? I mean, I like Chalk Zone, but what's your reason as to why including it next? Well, much like my show, Chalk Zone got its start on Oh Yeah Cartoons. And also similar to Tough Puppy, the theme song is just an absolute slapper. Sure, it's just the same five words all over and over again, but man, that guitar riff in the theme song, just listen to the instrumental version of the song, it's a slapper. Yep, I have to agree with that. For anybody who hasn't seen Chalk Zone, let me put it to you this way. It was basically Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends before Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, Jimmy, what's your next pick? My next pick is The Wild Thornberrys. Another certified classic right there. Yep. Plus, it was made by the same people who made Rugrats, so there's that. Yep. Not to mention Nigel Thornberry is one of the most smashing characters we've ever seen. Yep. Plus, another thing I find interesting is that because the show centers around the family traveling the world, you get to see a bunch of different environments and locations throughout the show's run. Yeah, that is definitely interesting. Yeah, I do really like that aspect of the show too. But anyways, SpongeBob, what's your next pick? Well, I think I'm going to take a page out of Timmy's book and choose an underrated Cat Scratch. Oh yeah, I remember Cat Scratch. I remember back in the day, Nickelodeon was pushing it to be like the next big thing, like they were pushing it as like one of the main shows. Yeah, they used to advertise Cat Scratch like crazy. I mean, it was featured in Nick DVD Bingo. Yeah, and something, also it was a Nickelodeon Scenic. Yeah, that's true. I feel like the only reason Cat Scratch only lasted one season despite it being, advertised to heck and back was that it was kind of overshadowed by other Nickelodeon shows at the time. Yeah, I mean, do you know which Nicktoon was the last Nicktoon to premiere before Cat Scratch premiered? Avatar. Not to mention Danny Phantom was becoming a staple of the network at the time. Yeah, there's that too. Still, Cat Scratch is a great show in my opinion. Very funny. People call it the Ed and Eddie of Nickelodeon. That's the second time we brought up a Cartoon Network show on this. But in any case, Timmy, what are you going with next? Alright, I'm actually going to go with a certified classic this time around. The Ren and Stimpy Show. Oh yeah, the Ren and Stimpy Show. Another one of the founding Nicktoons alongside Rugrats. Yeah, and I think the creator of my show also worked on Ren and Stimpy, or at least some of the people who worked on my show also worked on Ren and Stimpy. Yep. I mean, this show is definitely a staple of the 90s, in my opinion, just for how absurd and weird it is. I feel like a lot of our shows are weird, like a lot of Nicktoons in general are just weird. but I feel like the weirdness is what makes our show so great. Yeah, I have to agree with that. But any case, Jimmy, what are you going with next? Alright, I'm gonna go with an underrated pick like SpongeBob did. Back at the Barnyard. Back at the Barnyard. Yeah, I remember watching that all the time when it was on. Yep, honestly, it's definitely an underrated show in my opinion. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was made by one of the people who had worked on my show, so I gotta give it credit for that as well. Not to mention, Pig is an absolute legend. Viewer mail time. Yeah, that is... Honestly, Barnyard is just so funny in my opinion. I have to agree with that. Not to mention, people are asking for Otis to join in these crossover games, which I would love to see too. Yeah, we also need Dudley and Rudy in my opinion. And the Cat Scratch Cats too. Yeah, but, getting back on topic, you know, Barnyard I think is just absolutely hilarious. I don't care what anyone says. But SpongeBob, what's your last pick? Alright, this may be considered cheating depending on how you look at it, but my last pick is The Penguins of Madagascar. Oh man, that is a great show right there. I have to agree. Yeah, like you can make the argument that it's not fully a Nickelodeon show, but I mean, it was a co-production between DreamWorks and Nickelodeon, so I'm counting it regardless. Plus, it was made by the same two guys who created Kim Possible. Not sure if anybody knew that. I mean, we brought it up before SpongeBob. Okay, yeah, I mean, this show is absolutely hilarious. I mean, the Penguins themselves are already S-tier characters. Not to mention Dr. Blowhole is, in my opinion, one of the best Nicktoons villains out there. Yeah, but anyway, Timmy, what are you going with? Well, I'm gonna pick another underrated show this time around. My last pick is El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera. Oh yes, that is definitely an underrated show. Yeah, I remember watching that show all the time back when it was on Nickelodeon. And I think I actually remember it had a line of Happy Meal toys. And also so did Cat Scratch too. Yeah. Not to mention El Tigre got featured in All-Star Brawl 2, and aren't they also coming out with a book called The Art of El Tigre? Oh yeah, they are coming out with that. Also, the concept of the show of Manny having to choose between a hero or villain, I think is pretty amazing. Yeah, I have to agree with that. But anyways, Jimmy, what's your last pick? My last pick is gonna be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Specifically the 2012 version of the show, because it was, you know, the very first Ninja Turtle series to, you know, actually be a Nickelodeon production, officially. Plus, it's also what got the creator hooked on Ninja Turtles in the first place. Oh yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2012 series, was definitely a great show in my opinion. Yeah, it's honestly my personal favorite. Like, it's not perfect, but, you know, like, the stuff it does good, I think it does pretty great. Not to mention, something I find very interesting is that it got back Rob Paulson, but rather having him voice Raphael, he voices Donatello. Yeah, that is very interesting in my opinion. Yeah, it is kind of cool that they brought back one of the original voice members, only to have him voice a different character. I mean, I don't mind, I just find it very interesting. Yeah, but, anyways, guys, those are our picks. So, who do you think had the best overall, picks in terms of Nicktoons? Jimmy, Timmy, or me? Let us know in the comments. Thank you all for watching, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you later. SpongeBob! Yes, Jimmy? We didn't include Invader Zim in any of our picks. You don't think Sim's gonna be mad, do you? I hope not.